Hey, old man, give me everything.
Call an ambulance! Call an ambulance! But not for me!
Hi everybody, how's everyone's morning, afternoon, evening, and night? So I just want to create this video for you guys just to talk about the current state of what's happening with the video games preservation. For quite some time, I noticed people were talking about it for quite some time, for like weeks, months, even years, from past the present day. So I do have like general concerns that I've seen for quite some time, that we see this with digital games that are becoming delisted, facing extinction, and times and moments that the old games that were available ended up getting replaced by the remastered version, as well as the remakes and stuff like that. Because why not like have like both like the old game and the new game at the same time? Because it doesn't make any sense. And there are those instances that I saw with old games that even if we were to like use like Windows 10, Windows 11, and Linux, if you were to try to play those old games, you have to ultimately have to face some errors, unless if you found like workarounds and stuff like that, and etc. In any shape or form. And also, I did notice that with the MMOs and live service games, were pretty much getting shut down their servers because of financial issues, as well as those instances of the lack of players and stuff like that, or an interest in any shape or form. So I'm just on Twitter right now, which I know people will tell me is X, but I still call it Twitter no matter what happens. So ultimately, I've been seeing like other people's perspectives, and for quite some time we've seen this with Disney Now website listing all their games, and moments that we see with Little Big Planet getting affected by it as well, which we see that with like the first game, second game, and third game, which basically they're like multiplayer component on like the games were getting shut down, as well as the DLC as well, that were getting affected for quite some time, as well as like leading to the point of like other publishers and in any shape or form are just trying to like remove their old games and try to like repackage it as like a $60 collection and stuff like that in any shape or form. So I'm just like, okay, it's a little strange. So if I were to go to my Steam right now, which I might try to pick up a few examples, which you'll see the link over here and stuff like that whatsoever. So ultimately I'm going to go to a few games, for example, which I'll probably go to where Ghostbusters the video game is. So I have the original one, the Ghostbusters the video game, the PC version. So if I were to go to the store page of it, for example, it's no longer there. So instead, it ended up getting replaced by the remastered version of the remastered version of it instead. So like I mentioned from before, that it seems a little odd just to replace the old game with a remaster. Like they could have just kept like both the old one and the new one. That would have made the most sense. So I saw it like that. And then I'll probably go with another one, for example, which take for example The Last Remnants, which is right over it. There it is. Yeah, so this one over here, which it used to be a 360 game at the time, like used to be exclusive to the 360, and then ultimately it was also on the PC. If I were to go to this store page of it right now, because it used to be on Steam, and then at the request of the publisher, or Square Enix, they decided to just like pull off the Steam store, and that way you couldn't be able to purchase it unless if you like found other ways to, work around whatever you got to do, alternative solutions. So ultimately, that's what happens. And I did also went on my way to look for like a website that has like a list specifically of like games that were delisted, extinction, in any shape or form. So I came across this one as I was Google searching it and stuff like that. So it kind of shows you these kind of like information about the news of what's happening with like the DLC, the servers of the games that have like single player and multiplayer components, and many other examples as well. Yeah, so you see kind of like a list like this, so that way you get more information out of it too, as well as like looking at like different platforms on PC, VR, Xbox, Nintendo, Sony, and other ones as well, which also includes like the Google Stadia, Ouya, and Zibo. It kind of like show you stuff like this, like publishers and other things too, as well as the extinct list, relisted, which you'll see like this kind of stuff in any shape or form, like different platforms, PC and consoles, all kinds of crazy stuff. So I will try to like put more information in the description, in the pinned comments for you guys, just to make sure, just to give you a little heads up and etc. And I did also went on my way to see on like GOG announcing that they're gonna do whatever they can, however they could, to have like a preservation programs to make the best out of the worst case scenario. So they're trying to like do whatever they can, however they could, to make like the older games that were bound to like the older operating systems, and try to like at least try to like integrate it into the current operating systems like Windows 10, Windows 11, and Linux as well. So I did want to have a way to like check it out for myself, which I also have GOG, by the way. So at least that way you can get what you needed to get. And I then ultimately went to their website as well. So they're probably going to most likely go do the best they can, however they could, to preserve as much as they can, however it could. And they also have a video of it too, which again I'll probably put more in the description in the pinned comments so you guys can see for yourselves. So these are the kind of games they're going to try to salvage as much as they can, however they could. And I did also went on my way to make videos talking about the 360 store getting shut down on the Xbox 360 console, as well as like talking about the state of the PSN Store on the PS3 console as well, which I did made videos about it like months, even last year as well, just in case. And for me as a PC owner and a console owner, which throughout the years I was able to collect as much of the digital games as possible on like PC as well as like consoles, despite the moments having like a game account where I was able to buy these games, which I did have to keep in mind that I was aware about that people were saying that even though you bought these games, you're still renting it whatsoever in any shape or form. It's either I was able to renew my subscription, or pretty much like having to like keep it in my accounts. As long as I have it active in any shape or form, then I should be okay. And I do also went on my way to have like physical games, like I have some I currently have and other ones that I used to have. So the ones that I used to have, I either bought them, sell them, trade them, lend it to a friend, as well as going on my way to like give it to charity for those that never had the chance to play those kind of games from before, so at least they have the chance to play it nowadays whenever they had the chance to, in any shape or form. And I do currently have like console and handhelds, which for some examples basically having the PS2, the PS3, the PS4, the PS5, as well as having the PSP, as well as the PS Vita, including the PlayStation TV, which was also discontinued as well, as well as like having the 360 console, and including having the original GBA SP, as well as having the DS Lites, including the Nintendo Wii with backwards compatibility with GameCube games, as well as having the Switch as well. So there are times and moments I rather prefer just to keep the physical hardware in case if I needed to revisit them like off stream, off camera, as well as those moments I might put that in my regular videos, including like my live streams as well, whenever I needed to, felt the urge to play like old games as well as new games as well, just to keep up to date and etc. So I just wanted to like put out whatever needs to be put out there. So ultimately what I'm going to do in this video is that I'm going to try to revisit the 360 console, and as well as the PS3 console as well, to see what's happening nowadays and whatsoever. So I'm going to go out of my way to try the 360, just to get straight to the point, which I'll explain more about it. Okay, I'm on the 360 right now, so as you can clearly see, which I also went on my way to talk about it from a few months ago, what happened to the 360. So as you can clearly see right now, that I'm no longer able to access the Xbox Live Marketplace on the 360 console, because, you know, since Microsoft announced to remove the store from the console itself, which you couldn't be able to access it unless if you went out of your way to own a Xbox One, Xbox Series X or S, in order to access your original Xbox games as well as the 360 store, as well as the 360 games as well. So pretty much like the only thing you could do is probably you can access the Avatar store, even as well as go on your great lengths to access your download history, purchase history, any shape or form, which I'm gonna get to real quick. So pretty much I have like the original Xbox games, 360 games, salvage whatever's left of it, any shape or form. So I'll just try to like get whatever's left of it before the inevitable shutdown back in August. So these are the ones I just got throughout the years, because it wasn't much, but you know, let's get whatever's left of it. So I'm gonna go out of my way to go onto the browser at the brief moments and try to switch screens here. So there we go. So I ultimately made the video talk about this, which I was able to like browse as much as I can, however I could. Every time it does that, Jesus. Anyway, so I'm just trying to browse as much as I can, to the best of my ability, to the best of my knowledge, which I kind of just went on my way to view as many games as possible on the digital side of it. Seeing like the 360 games, original Xbox games, as well as like the arcades and indie games as well, as I was browsing through as much as I can, however I could, in any shape or form. And I did have to ultimately resort to basically using the search bar just to look for specific games, because there were those instances that I try to look at every possible category on like by the bundles, as well as those moments of like seeing like the action genres and stuff like that in any shape or form. So I had to end up like searching like that, as well as like checking out the DLC as well. Well, technically it was being shut down on July 29th. And yeah, and I did have to ultimately browse on like the current website of the Xbox.com, and there was an actual like older website like this, like the marketplace.xbox.com, which was pretty much the oldest thing ever. So you can be able to access all the games, first party, third party, indie games in any shape or form. And if I were to try to type it in right now, type in like marketplace.xbox.com.
Wait a minute!
Oh, I didn't type it in properly. I had to actually click on the actual URL address, as a matter of fact. So if I were to type it in right now, it'll probably just end up redirecting me towards the current state of the Xbox website right there. So pretty much that's what happens. And then if I wanted to like play these kind of games, I have to go to the backwards compatible games. That's if I was logged in, of course, but that's fine. So I can be able to get to like the original Xbox games, which you do tend to see them from time to time, that they sometimes tend to be on sale whenever you have the chance to, in any shape or form. So you can see the original Xbox games, as well as the 360 games as well. From time to time it gets on sale, so I was like, okay, that's cool. And yeah, so if you wanted to play these kind of games, you can try to like use your Xbox One, Xbox Series X or S in any shape or form. So I'm gonna try to go out of my way to jump onto the PS3's PSN Store, just to show you guys, just in case. Alright, so we're on the PS3 console right now, which I'm gonna go to great lengths to revisit the PS3's PSN Store right now, which I did also cover it in my previous videos from before, just talking about the current state it was in, and I'm gonna probably recheck it again. So I ultimately went out of my way to try to look around the place, try to search for games that were not on the genres categories in any shape or form, which I had to use the search bar and stuff like that, and etc. So basically I try to look around on like PS3, PS2, PS1, PSP, and PS Vita games, and you can clearly see right here it's still slow and sluggish, like a snail in any shape or form. You know, check it like best of PS3, where you see a little bit of duplicates here and there. Even getting like cheaper games as well. especially if you like went out of your way to very much like get like the PSP games and PS1 games on here, for example, and then eventually if you try to like use the PS4 and PS5 store, so that way you can be able to get a free upgrade for like the PS4 and PS4 and PS5 version of the one you got from before, free of charge. So I'm looking at the best of PS3 just for you. Pretty much outdated. So like looking at like top games, digital only games, add-ons, demos, classics, everything else too, as well as like other source of medias as well, and apps too, which I'm pretty sure that they're no longer usable on this console, if possible, that is. So yeah, so I'm gonna probably go out of my way to like at least try to look at all the games, which I'm gonna probably go out of my way to very much put a filter on there, so you'll see like bundles like this, as well as like the games. And there might be those instances that you might come across like disc only games as well, that kind of like it's not available digitally unless you check the bundles and everything else, etc. Like browse whatever you wanted to get whatsoever, and game types, including the minis as well, which I forgot to mention. PSN games, different platforms. And yeah, this is the kind of stuff you can get out of the PS3 PSN store in its current state, unfortunately, but you know. So I basically like talked about the story here, as well as like having like the games I had throughout the years whatsoever. So I ultimately went on my way to browse as much as I can, however I could, like the bundles, everything else, like full games, PSN only games. I had to browse through as many as I can, however I could. Because originally that Sony was about to make it unavailable, because since like 2021 they were about to like shut down the PS3 PSN store, so at least that way you couldn't be able to access those games anymore. But luckily people were able to send their feedback and say to Sony that, hey, we're not okay if you would try to shut down the PS3 store, so they backed off. We're probably have to watch out until then. They might try it again. So I kind of just browse through the story here and there, look everywhere else, as well as having the games on my account throughout the years. And they ultimately decided to make a part 2, which I was able to go onto the PS4 and PS5 store specifically. Let's see if I can get that to load. Okay, here we go. I had to reload the video. So I ultimately went to the PS Plus section over here, where you see like the games that were like very much like PSP games, PS1 as well as PS2. Because if you were to buy stuff from the PS3 store, you're able to like get a free upgrade for these ones if you own it from before. So you get like the PS4 and PS5 version for a free upgrade, like with Siphon Filter 1, 2, and 3, Legend of Dragoon, Wild Arms 2, as well as other examples too. Because I was able to own these games, by the way, throughout the years, before I got like taken from like the PlayStation Now onto the PS Plus as it got merged specifically. And there might be those instances that there might be like certain games that may not be eligible for the upgrade, because if you were to get like, for example, like Dino Crisis 1 from like the PS3 store, including like Resident Evil Director's Cut, it probably would not work with the upgrade with the PS4 and PS5 version. So ultimately I had to end up like get a subscription on like the PS Plus, like Premium for example, to get those kind of games, which is kind of a bit silly, which I did have to be quite critical. Like right over here for example, because if I wanted to play this game, then I have to subscribe to Premium right there, which is kind of a little silly, which I have my criticisms of it too. And as well as like going to great lengths to very much like browse through the entire like PS4 and PS5 Store as well, just to look at the entirety of all the games that are available, including the shovelware as well that you see like in iOS and Android games as well. That's on there too. They tend to be a bit like cheap but effective. So I'll just browse through everything and everywhere, much as I can, however I could. And yeah, that's what I did ultimately, as well as going to great lengths to very much like include the games I have on my PS4 and PS5 consoles as well. So like the subscription, and like free games whatsoever, as well as like including like the physical copies as well of the games throughout the years, like old games and new games, where I did decided to just go to great lengths to like buy them, sell them, trade them, lend to a friend, or even pretty much go to great lengths to charity, whatever I got to do, and etc. So I kind of like showed this from before as well, so just a little heads up. So I just wanted to show it to you guys just in case. And I'll probably also almost close to the last part of the video, I might try to also jump onto my Nintendo Switch quite soon, so I'll probably get to that. Alrighty, so I am pretty much on my Switch right now, so as you can clearly see, I do have games on my Switch, so you guys know ahead of time. So ultimately I just want to do a little quick little browse here and there, which you can also see the Super Mario 3D All-Stars, which I'll get to like really soon. So I just wanted to like go through a little bit of here and there, so you guys know ahead of time. As in my previous videos, I never had a chance to show you guys the Nintendo Switch side that I have for quite some time, so I thought, you know, it's probably a good time to just at least to try and put this in this video as well. So pretty much I kind of also I got myself a Switch like years ago, and I like it. And I played the Everglades out of the Breath of the Wild, of course, like non-stop, as well as this one too, as well as Doom, despite the graphics being a little bit like toned down. But you know, I just try to like make it work properly with the Switch. And yeah, so basically, like, you know, I've been collecting Switch games, playing them for quite some time, including the Sega Genesis classics as well, Rabbids and stuff like that. And yeah, so I'm gonna probably get to the one that says the Super Mario 3D All-Stars. This is the one I have. We'll get back to it for a second. So pretty much this one was a limited time only. At the time that Nintendo was going to great lengths to try to at least try to like bring the Switch games, or at least like the older titles, onto the Switch and stuff like that in any shape or form. So pretty much this was a limited time only as well for the Super Mario 3D All-Stars, which ended up becoming more likely to be like you get it now or lose it forever. So I went ahead and tried it out myself, and pretty much it was kind of like a poor emulation at best, because it's basically just like 4x3, not much being adjusted to it, but what can you do? So ultimately, once I look at Switch Online, they're trying to do the best they can, however they could, to very much try to this and that whatsoever. Just a little quick browse, that's all. So they're just trying to do whatever they can, however they could, to at least to try and, you know, try to like at least to bring like the older titles onto their online platforms at least. So I'm like, okay, fair enough. So like, you know, NES games, Super Nintendo, Game Boy, N64, GBA and stuff like that. That's what they're trying to do. But of course I'm aware that they're trying to go to great lengths to very much try to like send like DMCA takedowns, all kinds of craziness, because we all know for sure that Nintendo throughout the years are pretty stubborn, always going to great lengths to try to like pulverize patent stuff, even try to go to great lengths to go after fan-made games as well, which was pretty much insane, believe it or not. So I'm just like, what can you do? Nintendo be Nintendoing. So I just want to like do a little quick browse with like the Nintendo stuff, Nintendo Switch here and there, just to show a little what I have on my Switch nowadays and stuff like that. Which I kind of play it sometimes, but you know, make the best out of it. So pretty much, I wanted to just like create this video for you guys just to talk about the video games preservation, where there are times and moments that there's some issue it has, and there are possible chances to at least to try and like, you know, have possible chances of like trying to like relist the games, as well as seeing like GOG and other developers are going to great lengths to remaster the games, as well as having to coexist with the old games as well. So overall, I'm just hoping that we make the best out of the games to preserve, no matter how difficult things might be, but you know, just make the best out of the worst. So anyway, I'd like to thank you all so much for watching this video, which of course I will try to put more information in the description and pinned comments so you guys can see for yourselves on like my previous videos, as well as any other source materials, as well as the resources and references, so you guys know ahead of time. And I hope everybody has a very great morning, afternoon, evening, and night, as well as staying safe. I'll see you guys in my next video. Take care.